Hi everyone, it's Simon from Team Momentum. Just wanted to give you today a quick rundown of the features and functions of our flatline chronograph model. So the model you see in the center of the screen is the white or luminous dial version of the flatline chrono on the brown cloud leather band. I've got that already running, and I'll explain to you towards the end of the video why I've got that running, just so I can show you the elapsed time a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to put that a little bit out of the way for now and leave it running. And I'm going to give you a demo on the sort of classic black pilot dial style chrono. So let's get that one out of the way so it's not distracting anyone. So here's the watch. It has a 316L stainless steel case. It comes standard with a scratch-proof sapphire crystal on the flatline chrono, so you can take a sharp strap tool with a nasty steel tip on it and grind it on the glass, and it won't scratch the glass. You need something like a diamond, something extremely hard to scratch the crystal, so it's going to be very, very scratch resistant. Like most Momentum models, it has a screw back, so the back screws in and seals with O-rings for reliable waterproofing, and it also has a screw crown. So in order to adjust the time or the date, you need to pull that crown out, and you have to unscrew it first. You unscrew it by turning it counterclockwise towards you like that till it pops loose, and then it has two positions. The first position, one click out, is a quick set position for the date. And so you'll notice the date just jumps forward one day when I turn that away from me. And if I pull it out another click all the way out, then that adjusts the hour and minute hands to set the time. One thing, you shouldn't use that first click quick date set position when the hands are up close to midnight. As you get close to midnight, sorry, that was midday yesterday, but if I say the hands are coming up towards midnight, then gears in the movement are engaging the date wheel. You can see the date wheel start to turn. If I put it in the intermediate position now and try and do a quick set on the date, it will try and force the date to change even though the gears of the movement are engaged, and you could damage the watch. So if I'm going to do the quick set on the date, I always like to move the hands down around 6:30 at the bottom half of the dial, and that way pull it out one click, and now it's very easy to quickly set the date. Good, so let's just move those back up at, we'll go say somewhere at 10 after 10. And anytime you adjust the time of the date, make sure that you take that screw crown, press it firmly against the case so it clicks into position, and it is spring loaded, so you have to press against the spring, and while you're pressing, turn it gently. It should turn smoothly. Grab the threads on the case, and it will then screw in, and you should do it nice and snug, but finger tight. Don't need to grab any pliers or something. Turn it snugly, firmly against the case, so you don't see a big gap between the crown and the case, and that means the watch is reliably watertight. Then for the stopwatch features, they're basically for the chronograph or stopwatch built into the watch. There are three eyes that you need to look at. And the main face, this large center second hand with the red dot, gives me seconds. The little face up at 12 o'clock gives me tenths of a second, so fractions of a second in that top face. And the bottom face will record hours and minutes on two separate hands, where elapsed minutes and hours up to 12 hours are recorded on that bottom face. The third eye over here at 9 o'clock with the red hand is actually constant seconds, so it's ticking all the time to show me the watch is working. It's not connected to the chronograph or the stopwatch. It just continues beating all the time. When I pull the crown out to the set position, it will stop, which allows me to synchronize it. But you see, that's the only time it will stop. Now that 9 o'clock eye is no longer ticking because I've disengaged the crown and turned it off. So when I press it in and screw that crown back down, you will see the constant seconds, the red second hand, just starts ticking away. Good. And there are two buttons to control the stopwatch. The top button is start-stop, and the bottom button serves to take a split or intermediate time when the stopwatch is running. And if the stopwatch is stopped, then the bottom button will reset the stopwatch or chronograph to 0. So let me just demo that for you. The top button, I'm going to start the stopwatch by pressing the top button. You'll see the quickly spinning hand is my tenths of a second beating there. The big hand with the red dot is giving me the seconds, 8, 9, 10 seconds. And at the bottom, there are two hands actually in that small eye. They're on top of each other at the moment, but they will record the minutes and hours of elapsed time up to 12 hours. So now with the stopwatch running, if I wanted to take an intermediate time, say for example a car was racing in a 10-lap race and I wanted to know the time at the end of the first lap, then with the stopwatch running, I press the split button at the bottom and all the stopwatch hands freeze, and I can then note the time. So I'm seeing the fractions of a second up here, and you can see that you're reading off the small eye at the top that it's 0.35 of a second, and down at the bottom here, the second hand is showing that 37.35 seconds have elapsed, and the minute hand and hour hand are at 0. That would give me hours and minutes. Inside now, my stopwatch is still running. So I've taken the split time so I can note it down, but inside it's still running. And if I want to catch up to the running time, I simply press the split button again to release the hands, and they jump forward, showing me the current running time. So you'll see that the little hand down here at the bottom has moved forward to show 1 minute. I've got my fractions of a second, and the seconds are beating here. Once I've finished timing and the car gets to the end of the race, I press the top button to stop the timing. Now everything stops. I can take the final time, note it down, and then when I press the bottom button, everything resets to 0. You'll notice because this has to do 12 revolutions to move the hour and minute hands to 0, it takes a moment for the bottom eye to reset. And that's really it. That's the watch. You can see I left the loom dial model running, and that's been running for a little while. And you can see on this one here, I've got my second hand beating, and after it's run for a while, the fraction of a second hand will freeze. The reason it does that is just to save battery and wear and tear on the small stepping motor in this top eye. But now, if my timing is finished and I press the stop button, it will jump to show me the fractions of a second at the top, the seconds here showing at 13 seconds, and I can see that 45 minutes, so I'm looking at the hour hand is showing here coming up to 1 hour, and the minute hand is showing me that 46 minutes have elapsed, so I can read the 46 minutes and 13 seconds and the tenths of a second on the small hand at the top. Once I've noted the time down, I press the bottom button now that's stopped, and everything resets to 0. So that's the Flatline Chrono. I hope that's helpful in figuring out how it works. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at watches@momentumwatch.com, or check it out online at momentumwatch.com. And if you look up the Flatline Chrono, if you've lost them, you can download a PDF instruction booklet for this watch on our website. Thanks for your time, and I hope this has been helpful.